Call of Duty Modern Warfare, released in 2019, it was the cause of MW 2019 is always seen as this like contentious game that some people really didn't like and other people really did like. And it's always talked about like the controversy is bigger than the game, and I think that really is just how every Call of Duty is. The difference is MW 2019 was actually relevant and got a lot of people talking and back into playing Call of Duty. I know for a fact it restored my faith in the series despite all of its faults, and it got two of my friends back into playing Call of Duty after they kinda got sick after Advanced Warfare. So let's get into all of the main issues that I have with Modern Warfare 2019, as well as something that everybody hates when they click on a YouTube video: product placement. eWin Racing wants me to sell about 4 more gaming chairs for them, and I'm gonna push until I do it because everybody needs a nice chair, and after 3 weeks in the one they sent me, I have to say I'm ecstatic. I have a review for this chair up on my channel. You can go look for it. There's a link in the description to the exact chair I'm sitting in right now, as well as just their overall website. Using code ONEBOOM20 will save you 20% off their gaming chairs and desks, and I highly recommend you check them out. Because I see that crappy little chair you're sitting in right there. That's awful. Get a new one. Alright, let's complain about Modern Warfare 2019. The first big issue I have is an issue a lot of people had. Even though I learned to love this, I still think it's a con when it's stacked with everything else. So, it's the minimap. Usually, minimaps in Call of Duty would show unsuppressed enemy fire, but not in this game, not unless you have a UAV or personal radar up in the air. Which is terrible when you combine it with the other problems in the game. So, having the minimap not show unsuppressed fire is issue 1. Issue 2 is the fact that the compass is the thing that shows unsuppressed fire, but the way you can hide off the compass is by using a suppressor. So when you use a suppressor, you are off the compass, and the suppressors are buffed. Like, they're crazy strong in this game. One adds like 5% range with next to no downsides, the other one has almost 0 downsides, I'm pretty sure about 0 downsides, and does nothing to your weapon's bullet performance. There's another suppressor that hurts your damage range, like severely, but no one uses the lightweight suppressor, so let's not talk about it. Having the compass show unsuppressed fire, and then having suppressors in the game in a gunsmith system that buff your gun and hide you off the compass, so you're not on the minimap, you're not on the compass, and your gun's being buffed. Then we have issue 3, the Ghost perk. The Ghost perk hides you off the minimap even when you're not moving. You can sit in a corner and still be off the minimap. This is still a problem today. Between their unnecessary minimap change, the buff to suppressors, and this Ghost perk not requiring you to stay on the move, you have a pretty bad combination when you mix all of that into complicated, messy, more classic style Call of Duty maps. MW's maps are reminiscent of games like Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty Ghosts, Black Ops 1, Call of Duty 4, World at War, MW3. They're not your cookie cutter, predictable, 3-lane, symmetrical cover maps. They're asymmetrical, they're messy, they're convoluted, and sometimes visibility isn't that great on them. Other Call of Duties had maps like this, but they had a pretty seamless system that even Cold War got right, where the suppressors hurt your gun, and your unsuppressed fire shows up on the minimap. So it's a trade-off. The minimap is your best friend and your greatest enemy, and the way you can subvert it being your greatest enemy is by nerfing your gun with a suppressor. Having suppressors not have those meaningful downsides really hurt Modern Warfare in the long run, combined with that minimap change and the compass, and of course, the Ghost perk. Okay, let's talk about something else here. Kill streaks. Just in general, kill streaks were bad in this game. They should have been score streaks to encourage more aggressive play and objective play, because kill streaks force you to play more conservatively, more laid back. It really incentivized more of that sneaky play style stuff that I've already been talking about. And then you had the fact that so many of them could be shot down near instantaneously. The VTOL would often just come in and immediately get shot down if somebody was using their brain. Chopper gunners also shot down. It was really, really disheartening to go on like a 7 or 10 kill streak just to get shot down out of the sky after it gets 1 kill. As well as the entire kill streak system incentivizing people to play in a more stealthy, conservative manner. Next thing had to be on the list, it just had to be mentioned, no FOV slider on console. This is still insulting to me because apparently Warzone simply can't handle an FOV slider. Okay, because of last-gen systems, I guess, but why not add an FOV slider to next-gen consoles or the mid-gen refresh consoles like the One X and PS4 Pro? Also, here's another good question. Why wasn't it added to Modern Warfare 2019's multiplayer? Why wasn't it accessible there? I feel like they could have worked this out, they could have made it work, and I also just can't fathom the FOV slider taking that much away from performance. I've just never seen that much evidence of that. This really dates the game when you go back to play it, even on an Xbox Series X. It just feels so much more cramped and slow compared to Vanguard and Cold War, and that almost feels intentional. Like, you really can't tell me this game couldn't have had an FOV slider. Like, that's an unfeasible thing that I am crazy for requesting. Well, the days of Call of Duty not having an FOV slider are gonna be gone, like when Warzone 2 and MW2 comes out. Just fuck this for not having it. Let's talk Create a Class. The Create a Class was boring. While Gunsmith was incredibly fun, and the 5 attachment system really encouraged a lot of creativity, and you could drastically change the way a gun feels or performs. I get excited talking about MW's Gunsmith because both Cold War and Vanguard have their pros and cons to their gunsmith systems. I think Vanguard's really fun to Frankensmith in. Cold War was actually really, really boring. There's not much nice to say about it, but Modern Warfare's was actually good. When I say good, I just mean it was fun. It was fun to take the stock off a gun, and then your character holds it differently, and it recoils differently, and it just looks, feels, and sounds different depending on what you have going on, and I love that about it. You can run one gun all night in 10 different variations, and you can have fun with each one. While it is possible to make some real stinker weapons, it's also kind of hard to make really bad weapons that are just plainly unusable. But then you go to make the rest of your class, and it's like, okay, you get 3 perks, a lethal, a tactical, go fuck yourself. I'm sorry, this sucks. I don't mind my primary and secondary being guaranteed. I actually really like that. But perks. I mean, Cold War got this right with having wildcards, and it still kind of got it wrong, but honestly, I just want a gunsmith system combined with either Call of Duty Ghosts Create a Class or Black Ops 2 Create a Class. Gunsmith is fantastic. This isn't. Just making your class in Modern Warfare is such a boring exercise, and comparing it to Call of Duty Ghosts makes it feel archaic. Ghost was ahead of its time and had a really cool, ingenious concept that could have been improved on over years, but no, here, just have Call of Duty Force customization. That'll fucking satiate you, you animal. And the next issue I have is that everybody had lethals and tacticals. Come on, I didn't want to get C4 sandwiched, flashbanged, and deal with stim shots every single gunfight, but I basically had to. If you got into a gunfight that didn't end in you or your opponent dying, one of you was likely going to hit the other one with a concussion, one of you is going to stem around the corner, one of you is going to follow up with a C4, and I don't think that makes the game more interesting. In fact, I feel like it makes the game spammy and it devalues gunplay. Speaking of devaluing gunplay, God, I can't wait to talk about Black Ops Cold War. That's gonna be fun. Talking more about lethals and tacticals, here's issue number 7 or something, I don't know. Claymores as the first unlock was a terrible idea. When everybody was learning the maps and nobody really had any confidence learning complicated maps because the last several Call of Duty games didn't have complicated maps, giving people the Claymore as the first lethal unlock was retarded to say the least. What do you do when you're not confident on the map and you feel like you could get flanked at any moment? Oh, cover your back. So people used Claymores way more than they probably would have if they were the final unlock. Proximity mines and Claymores should have been the last 2 lethals you unlock. They should not have been the first. It really made the opening months of the game feel like Claymore dodging simulator. And while I was more than willing to run EOD and Spotter, there is an argument to be made that I shouldn't have had to do that all the time. That was a huge miss, and I hope that if there's a Claymore, Bouncing Betty, or whatever equivalent in the next Modern Warfare, it's the final lethal unlock, so people don't use it as a crutch while everybody's still learning the maps for the first month or 2. The next issue is that doors were massively complained about, and while I don't personally have any complaints about them, I don't know why Infinity Ward didn't just make them destructible. Just have them be able to be popped off the hinges. Why the fuck not? You can destroy doors in the campaign, I'm pretty sure, or at least damage them very heavily, and I don't know why they just didn't give you the option to splinter a door into 1,000 pieces with an RPG or C4. It's hard to bitch about doors aiding campers when you can throw a Simtex on it and just delete it off the map and not have to worry about it for the rest of the game, something that Vanguard introduced and I absolutely love. Vanguard has lots of opening doors and windows, but if you don't want to deal with them, just detonate them, and I feel like that should be the solution for any problem like this in a shooter. I think doors add for an interesting dynamic, but I feel like with a lot of the buildings, you could just replace the metal doors with wooden doors and then have the wooden doors be destructible and the metal doors maybe be a little bit harder to destroy, but still destructible. Again, there was 100 things they could have done, and I think all they did was remove a couple doors off a couple areas, and that's just stupid. And the last two big problems I have with Modern Warfare is that they were just obviously spread too thin. Infinity Ward trying to work on Warzone and Spec Ops and Gunfight and Ground War just blew up in their face. Modern Warfare 2019 had a wealth of content, but it was unfocused and all around kind of mediocre. I think one of the reasons Modern Warfare's multiplayer doesn't flow right, and why Ground War feels sort of unrefined and unpolished, and why Gunfight is just sort of the boring game mode that it is. I mean, it benefits by being boring, but hear me out. I just feel like they had too much on their plate. I feel like if they were able to just focus on make traditional Call of Duty maps and traditional Call of Duty modes, we could have gotten cooler stuff down the line once the game shipped. But instead, there was a split focus there that I feel like hurt the game overall. Instead of good campaign, good multiplayer, good Spec Ops, we have mediocre Spec Ops, a multiplayer that was split 3 different ways, and then a campaign that a lot of people say is just a little too short. Here's hoping that Modern Warfare 2, despite apparently having a billion game modes, is gonna be more focused and refined instead of just trying to throw in everything but the kitchen sink. I keep getting argued with about this, and let me just put it this way. At least before launch, you do not want the dev team working on your game to be spread too thin between too many crazy, counter-opposite ideas. The last thing I need to point out is that Modern Warfare went off theme because of the backlash towards a lot of the more campy, tactical elements of the game. I feel like they just sort of stopped emphasizing that in its marketing and post-launch content and gave us more nostalgia bait, faster maps, and just more stuff to keep the blood pumping. And while that's great, one of the things that got the blood pumping for me was realism mode and night vision, and I feel like more night vision game modes, more interesting things done with that concept. Maps that have night vision maybe done better, where maybe the interiors of buildings you need night vision for, but the outside you don't. They could have done something cool like that, but they didn't. These concepts were unrealized. If you bought Modern Warfare 2019 for a sort of realistic milsim themed arcade experience, Twitch shooter experience, you kind of got let down. I mean, you got teased, which I think is worse than getting let down. You got teased with realism mode and night vision, but they just never wanted to do anything with it, and that just sucks. Hopefully MW2, whatever theme or setting it sells us on, it just invokes the feeling of that throughout the life cycle while doing its best to please multiple elements of the community. But a game that's designed to please everybody can oftentimes end up pleasing nobody. A more focused product for the right audience is always going to be better than something that scrambles constantly trying to make sure everybody's happy and eating well. And also, I'm just gonna say it, I hate that they added weird, goofy skins and awkward cosmetics to the game. While some of them I can sort of just laugh at and ignore, other ones got too silly. I like a game with artistic integrity, and I wish that I could just have some sort of guarantee from Infinity Ward that they're not gonna do weird movie character tie-ins and goofy skins and awkward camos and crazy tracer packs that turn you into gold or pixels. I really hope Modern Warfare 2 stays grounded and gritty. Still having that patented Twitch shooter fun, and I don't mind a couple of weird camos and things, I guess, but for the most part, I want the game to feel more grounded and believable than even Modern Warfare 2019 did by the end of its life cycle. Adding a bunch of goofy shit for a more fickle audience does nothing to improve the integrity of the game or the longevity of the game's appearance. And it's really funny, now when I go back to Modern Warfare, I see people running around in more believable grounded skins, and the sillier ones are actually harder for me to find. The crazier tracer packs aren't being used as much either. I feel like by the end of the game's life cycle and into Cold War, everyone was using the craziest stuff, but now it's like, that's old news. This is obviously confirmation bias, but I kind of feel like it confirms my idea a little bit, that maybe it's the fickle audience that likes those cosmetics and not the actual fans of the world and aesthetic the game is selling them on. Call of Duty's always had a good amount of consistency between its story universe and its multiplayer universe, with only a little bit of shark jumping and a little bit of goofiness here and there, and I feel like when Call of Duty takes itself seriously as an art form in a world again, it'll be easier for people to see Call of Duty as a piece of art again and not so much just a catalyst to sell garbage to kids. So there are all my issues, and hopefully Modern Warfare 2 can avoid them. Let me know your biggest issues down below, even though I don't care about them, and I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.